Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome, my friends. My name is Vincenzo, and welcome to my channel. And the channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. I don't know what it is with Chinese pen manufacturers who have this fetish or this infatuation for the Montblanc 149. I know it's an iconic pen, a pen, if you're a fountain pen lover, a pen that you dream of having in your collection. And maybe that's why it is probably the most popular Montblanc pen. And I guess if it is, then there'll always be somebody who's trying to clone it, fake it, or be inspired by it. So, and folks, I've got another one for you. Yes, it's Majohn. Majohn is the forerunner when it comes to being inspired by Montblanc. And it's another 149 inspiration, folks. Fountain Pen Therapy presents the Majohn P141. Stay tuned. Okay, so we're back with the pen. It comes in the regular Majohn box that we're all familiar with by now. Nice packaging, simple but efficient. Care manual, tell you how to fill the pen, and the pen is there. Now, I got to tell you, I chose this beautiful red. I think it's the nicest color. I've never seen a Montblanc clone in this color. When you see the advertising on AliExpress for this red, it's not as sharp as it is in real life. So I was really taken aback. I was really surprised at how bright red this pen is, and it suits me just fine. It suits me just fine. Well, there it is. I mean, you know, we're going to do some comparisons and compare it to the real thing and to other clones. Pen, it feels nice. It feels like, you know, a precious resin pen, just like the Montblanc. It's got some good weight, maybe not as heavy. The finial, surprisingly enough, is just a button, a gold button, if you will. There you have it. So at least that's hasn't been copied. I think the trimmings are pretty similar to the real thing. Certainly the clip is also very familiar. That's stiff but workable. It's very well integrated. There are nothing sticking out. Very nice finial. It is a piston filler, and we'll get to that in a second. So the knob does turn on us. Now, why don't we, when it comes to comparisons, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to review this pen, is to really compare it to the others. So we'll get right into it, and we'll kind of make that the focus of this review. Now, first of all, let's take the real thing. That's the real thing. And as you could see, I mean, I think I would say to you that the ring or the center band of the real Mont Blanc is much nicer. The engraving is a little more pronounced, and you can tell it's better quality, except it has one center band, the real one, and two thinner parallel bands, whereas this P141 only has one top band. It doesn't have, it's missing the bottom one. So that's one major difference. The clips, pretty very, very similar, if not identical. The size, I would say to you, is identical. Now, let's open up this one. Let me see how many turns. That's 1.5, a little bit less than 1.5, I would say to you. As you can see, there is a ink window, striped ink window, and the piston functions very nicely, thank you. Now, what surprised me about this pen is this nib. Take a look at the nib. That was a total surprise, and it's very unclear in the advertising on AliExpress, depending on the vendors that you have. Some of them kind of lead you to believe that you're actually getting the Expedition, the Sun nib, if you will. Let me just take the 140 to explain which one I mean. That's the one that's marked Expedition with the sun. But the one in this, at least in my version of my P141, I actually get their standard stamping Moonman, okay? But with, and let me just see if I have a Moonman somewhere around here. I should. Yeah. Here's one version of the number 6 Moonman. So it's their standard stamping Moonman, but it's a fine nib. That's medium. I think all my number 8 size Majohn sun nibs, I will call them, are all mediums. This one's a fine, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it works. I would say to you the girth there is pretty equivalent. It's about 13 millimeters there. Now, let me just shut this before I make a mess. What else I got to say? This kind of looks a little cheapish, you know. It looks plasticky, and maybe that's because it's red. But, you know, it's got a nice... Oh, let's compare the feeds. Well, this is supposed to be ebonite, from what I understand. This is not ebonite. It's plastic, in my view. I can't see that being ebonite, nor is it advertised to be. So that's one major difference. And you have the option of getting that sun nib, wondering if they all come with the ebonite feed, because if they do... Now, I'm saying ebonite. I may be wrong here. I may be wrong. I'm not sure. But I should have done the research before, but if I remember, I'll put it up on the screen and I'll give you a definitive answer. So there you have, but this is plastic. This to me looks like plastic. If anybody believes that I'm making a mistake there or I'm wrong, let me know. But I believe it is a nice feed, mind you. Very nice feed. The nib looks like in very good condition. There you have it. Now, one thing that I think it's Shanghai Dude, or Shanghai Knife Dude, or Shanghai Dude Knife. Sorry, Shanghai, I keep forgetting. Mentioned that the difference between this one, the piston in the 140 and the 141, this has got a totally solid brass or copper. I don't know which. I think it's brass piston. It's got a brass piston knob. The mechanism is brass, and so is the rod. Okay, the only plastic portion is the end that you see there, because that needs to be plastic. Well, that's, rubber actually. But the rod, you don't see much of it here because it's inked, but it's all made of brass. So I was curious to see what this is made out of. Now, I usually don't do this on camera because I'm not good at it and I don't want to break this. So be patient with me. I believe that this should work. So that's nice and tight. Now, how do I do this? Is this coming off? Doesn't appear to be coming out. Yes, it is. Slowly but surely, I think. Yeah, here we go. Okay. You see? So the mechanism, the top part is brass, but the rod appears to be plastic or rubberish. And this rubber here looks different from the one in my 140. I'm going to put it right back because I don't want to make a mess here. Let me just take this out. Okay, here we go. Wow, I actually did that on camera. There you have it. Thank you for being patient. So there you have it. I mean, it's a good weight. It's a little lighter than the real thing. The resin on the real thing is much nicer, but when and it's also lighter than this real fake, which is, I don't know what to call it. I call it the Mont Blanc fake because it's even got a the logo there. So and you can see, yeah, I believe this one's a little bit, this one, the fake, is a little heavier. When I compare it to the Wing Sung 630, about equivalent. And when I compare it to the Jinao X159, about the same. Let's see in terms of, this was the heaviest of the clones, just probably because of that brass piston. Let's just put them all here and see in terms of, here we go. So as you can see, they're all pretty well the same size here, I would say to you. Maybe I should just use something to make sure that they're all straight. What can I use? Use this. There we go. Yeah, pretty well all the same size, girth and length. And the real question is, how do those nibs differ, if they do differ, and which one do I prefer? It's going to be the real question. So those are the pens compared, capped. Here are the pens uncapped, and you can see they're, I would say to you, exactly the same size. There may be slight differences depending on whether the nib is, finds itself a little bit more inserted, but that could also explain that they're not perfect here. So yeah, I think they're exactly the same size. Exactly the same size. So those are the pens uncapped and unposted. Here are the pens posted. Now, the 140 is not a good poster. It doesn't post well. It interferes with that knob. But otherwise, we're talking about pretty well the same size. Maybe this Jinao probably posts the deepest of them all. Now, to answer your question, in terms of this one, it does post, and you can see that it posts beyond the piston, so it does not activate that piston in any way. It is extremely comfortable, posted or unposted. Nice size. You know, it's a Mont Blanc 149 essentially. So there you have the pens posted, unposted, and uncapped and capped. So why don't we take a look at the measurements, and maybe we'll take a look at measurements. I'll put two measurements. I'll put the measurements, and then we'll do some writing, okay? And we'll do some writing with all of these pens and kind of compare. I'm really, really looking forward to that. Be right back. One thing I did check is what's inside of this. This is, I mean, there's a little bit of a step there, just a tiny little bit of a step, and then you can see a big screw. Probably the cheapest, the thinnest. Take a look at the Wing Sung's really got a nice step there to seal. The Jinhao is also got a nice step, much thicker than this 141. And of course the 140, you could see it transparent, has a very good step. What does the real one have? Oh, look at that. It's got kind of ribs here. I don't know if you can see that. See the, let me just, yeah. I don't know if you can see that. It's got kind of ribs right there. And so does this one. Kind of, it's as if they used the same mold. It's got little ribs coming down in that plastic. That's interesting. The real one doesn't have a major step there at all. And you could see the screw at the end, just like the cheap 140. Isn't that interesting? What about the fake? Here's the fake. Yeah, it's got the ribs as well. Right down to the, there's a screw there as well. So, wow, isn't that? Now, let me just see. This is, the real one's got a straight-edged screw out there that you can just, let me just, yeah, you see that? Whereas this one's kind of square screw. Does this have a square screw? Yes, it does. I'm wondering if these are coming out of the same factory. Let me just compare. Yeah, well, it's got an extra ring, so I don't know if they're coming out of the same unit, you know. But in any event, fascinating. Well, I think we've compared all these pens enough. Let's do some writing. Okay, so we're all set for the writing sample. First of all, the ink. I think I'm just going to rub it in and use Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red. I always loved this red. So we'll see how that works out. Just to show you the swatch, I should have it here somewhere. Here it is. Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red. It's a nice, sharp red. So, let's get the show on the road. So, this is the Majohn P141. I can tell you right away that this is a real fine. When I compare it especially to Wing Sung, whose fine is, I think, a little thicker. This is a fine number 8 Moonman. Number 8. Forgot to put the 8. Nib. The ink is Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red. So far, fairly smooth. The paper I'm using is what I call Chinese Toma River and fairly wet. It's wet and smooth. Fairly constant, I would say to you, no matter which direction you want to go. Does it have any spring to it? Yeah, you know, you can get a thicker line, but it's a fairly stiff nib, I would say to you. I'm not sure you get a thicker line, just get a little more ink. But it does have a little bit of spring to it, just a tiny bit. It's not, I would say to you that you know what, very similar to Jinhao fine nib, I would say to you. So it may be a Chinese, just a little bit less than what we refer to as a Chinese nail, you know. I think the days of Chinese nails is gone, just because we have all these beautiful nibs coming out of their factories and their pens. So that's very nice. Now, what else do I need to do? Oh yes, reverse writing. It's not scratchy, just very light. It's a light, extra fine, I would say to you, if you're really into that. Likes and dislikes. Well, I like, it's a good clone. I would say to you it's not the best clone. It is a little plasticky. I'm not even sure there is such a word. You know, it feels a lot more plastic than the others, put it this way. Is it the red color? Perhaps. I like just the build quality is good. I did find that the knob here is a little loose. Okay. Should have shown that to you earlier, but that's okay. It's okay. So the piston loose, and it's a plastic rod as opposed to, between you and I, they could have put it all, why not, you know, use the entire brass rod. So there's a bit of cut there. The nib is very nice. I like this nib. You know, the standard number 8. Very nice nib. I like the price. I'll put it up on the screen. I think it's about $45, if I'm not mistaken, Canadian. Roughly, depending on the vendor and depending if shipping is included or not. Is it a go-to pen? What I mean by go-to, would I use this as an everyday carry writer? Absolutely. I would give it a 9.5 on 10. This, to me, is a perfect pen. You know, it's a red pen, so I would use it with red ink for corrections. on any of my letters. So there you have it. Very nice. I'm pleased. Is it a priority? Absolutely not. Okay, there you have it. Very nice. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to compare it to some of the others we have here. So let's put that aside. I'm going to take out my Toma River notebook. Now, this is unfair because this is the Majohn. I wish I had a fine nib, but this Majohn, I mean, there's no comparison. Again, it's unfair because this is, really, really smooth. And this medium is the one that I fool around with. It's now become a broad. And yes, as people will mention, it also depends on the ink that you use. Some inks are going to be a little wetter than others, but I still think those expedition mediums, Majohn expedition mediums, are superior. Let's compare it. This is the actual clone, so I don't know where this nib comes from. Not actual clone, it's a fake. I distinguish it because they've actually put Mont Blanc around the the band, etc. So it's directly fake. And I welcome you check out my video on that. This is, in my view, a nicer nib. Much thicker line. A lot wetter. What about this Wingsung? This is my Wingsung 630. Well, that's me. I also haven't written with this pen in a while. Yeah, this has a lot more spring to it. So I would prefer this nib over the 140 as well. As you can see, I mean, that's just me. This fine, to me, is writing much finer than all the rest. Forget about this one. This one's a medium, okay? But this Mont Blanc fake is supposed to be a fine, and look how much thicker it is. This is the Wingsung 630. Let me just see if it's consistent. I have my other Wingsung 630, this yellow one. Yeah, much, much smoother and thicker and wetter as a result. Yeah, so if you like a thin 9, you'll be pleased with this 141. Very pleased. Let's look at the Jinhao. Will this Jinhao write? It's been some time. This is the Jinhao. Yeah, again, it's unfair because this is a medium. And this is the number 8 medium. I've forgotten how smooth is this. Very smooth. Now, will they come out with medium and the 1.1 stub as I've done in the number 6? Maybe. Stay tuned. Maybe. Then, the last but not least is the real one. What does the real one feel like? I'm going to put the real one. You know the difference. I mean, don't get me wrong, these other nibs are fabulous for a steel nib, okay? The real difference with Mont Blanc and this gold nib is, one, it's got a little bit of spring, and two, I have a tendency to hold my pen not the right way, so oftentimes my nib will not be, facing or be a little bit twisted. And in cheaper pens, it'll make a difference. With this one, it forgives. It's got, that tipping is magical. Even if I'm leaning a little more to the left, in the center, or to the right, it will write just the same and won't skip a beat. The other thing is that I find that this Mont Blanc never dries up. It just never dries up on me. It always writes. I can leave it wherever I want to leave it, in a casing, outside a casing, or on the desk. I'll pick it up a month later. It will write as if it had just been inked. That's the real difference with this real monster here. So there you have it. I hope that kind of gives you some sense of the comparison. Let me just... So there you have it. That's the review of the Majohn P141. I like the red. If you're going to buy it, I would recommend the red, unless, red means something very negative to you. I know some of you, see, I don't want to get political, see that red as there's a political overtones in it, but I don't see it that way. To me, it's just a red pen, and I love the red. As an Italian, it comes close to Ferrari red. So I like this red, and it makes it a little bit different from all the rest of them that are just, black, blue, and darker colors. There you have it. Hope you enjoyed that review. I think it's a nice pen. If you want to add it to your collection, it won't be a mistake. It'll write finer than all the others. So if you're looking for a nice fine nib that writes fairly well, it's got, and it's sharp. It's sharp. It's a sharp looking pen because it's a clone of the 149, of course. Well made. It's Majohn. There you have it. Subscribe if you haven't. Ring that bell if you enjoyed the video. Comment. I always welcome comments. Try to answer them all. You folks, enjoy your pens, enjoy the summer, and have a great day, and we'll see you next time.